What if the greatest pain you ever feel in life isn't failure, but regret? Regret for the chances you didn't take, the words you never spoke, the dreams you buried while waiting for the perfect moment that never came. Think about it. Time is passing right now. Every hour you hesitate, every day you delay, life keeps moving forward without waiting for your permission. The truth is, you'll never feel fully ready. But action doesn't require readiness. It requires courage. Imagine waking up one day at the end of your life, not haunted by what-ifs, but smiling because you know you acted, you tried, you lived boldly. That's the power of acting now. That's the choice that builds a life with no regrets. Chapter 1. The cost of waiting. Waiting feels safe, but it is the most expensive choice you can make. Every day you delay, life moves forward without you. Opportunities vanish quietly, not because you weren't capable, but because you hesitated. The cost of waiting is not measured in hours, it is measured in lost chances. Fear disguises itself as caution. You tell yourself you're being practical, that you'll act when the timing is right, but perfect timing never arrives. By waiting, you trade the possibility of progress for the certainty of regret. The cost of waiting compounds like interest. A single day of delay may feel small, but weeks become months, months become years. Suddenly, you look back and realize the life you wanted is still a thought, not a reality. Waiting drains confidence. Each time you postpone action, you teach yourself that you are not ready. Over time, this belief grows heavy. What could have been courage becomes self-doubt, and momentum dies before it begins. When you wait, life chooses for you. Opportunities shift to those who act, doors close, and paths change. Action keeps the pen in your hand. Waiting hands it to circumstance, leaving your story half-written. The cost of waiting is invisible at first. Nothing looks lost, and life feels the same. But silently, energy fades, ideas die, and dreams shrink. By the time you notice, years of potential have slipped through your fingers. Many wait for permission, approval from family, friends, or society. But the truth is, no one will ever give you the green light. Life begins the moment you stop waiting for someone else's blessing. Waiting also feeds fear. The longer you hesitate, the bigger challenges seem. What once felt possible begins to feel impossible. Action shrinks fear, but waiting magnifies it until it controls you. The cost of waiting is opportunity cost. While you pause, someone else is moving forward, building, learning, and growing. By the time you start, they are miles ahead. Not because they were better, but because they refused to delay. Every great achievement was once an imperfect beginning. Those who waited for perfection never began. Those who acted, even clumsily, grew stronger with time. The cost of waiting is the death of progress, disguised as preparation. Waiting creates regret's shadow. When you look back, you won't regret the failures. You'll regret the silence, the hesitation, the chances you let slip away. Regret does not come from trying. It comes from waiting. The habit of waiting is seductive. It promises safety, but delivers stagnation. The longer you indulge it, the harder it becomes to break free. Self-commitment requires breaking this cycle before it buries your potential. The cost of waiting is missed lessons. Failure teaches, action reveals, effort transforms. But when you wait, you learn nothing. Growth requires movement, and movement requires risk. Waiting steals joy. Action, even small action, fills life with meaning. But waiting leaves you restless, always anticipating, never experiencing. A life of waiting is not life at all. It is slow decay. Each moment you wait, you gamble with time. Unlike money, time cannot be earned back. Every day lost is gone forever. The cost of waiting is permanent. The price is irreplaceable hours of your existence. Waiting also traps you in imagination. You dream of what could be, but without action, it remains fantasy. Imagination without action becomes torture, visions of a life you'll never touch. The cost of waiting is opportunity unseen. You cannot know what doors would have opened had you moved. Action reveals possibilities you could not predict. Waiting leaves you blind to them all. Waiting creates a false sense of control. You think you're choosing safety, but really you are surrendering choice. Action is power. Waiting is passivity disguised as prudence. The cost of waiting is the quiet erosion of your spirit. With every delayed step, you become less certain, less bold, less alive. Life rewards movement, and only those who act escape the heavy price of waiting. So remember, the cost of waiting is always greater than the risk of acting. Regret weighs more than failure. Don't spend your life paying a debt of hesitation. Invest it in action and watch your future multiply. Chapter 2. Why regret hurts more than failure.
Failure stings in the moment, but regret lingers for a lifetime. Failure tells you that you tried, that you stepped into the arena, that you were brave enough to attempt. Regret whispers a different story. It says you were too afraid to begin, too hesitant to act, too uncertain to even try. That is why failure, though painful, is clean, while regret is messy and unending.
When you fail, you learn. You walk away with lessons, scars, and new wisdom that shape your next attempt. But when you live with regret, there are no lessons, only questions. What if I had spoken up? What if I had taken that chance? What if I had started earlier? These questions echo endlessly, offering no answers, only torment. Failure fades, but regret grows sharper with time. A failed business, a broken relationship, a missed opportunity. These wounds eventually heal because life keeps moving. But regret digs deeper as you age, because the chances you once had may never return. It becomes heavier with each passing year. Failure gives you stories of courage. Even when you fall, you can look back and say, "At least I tried." Regret gives you silence. No story, no lesson, no growth. Just the haunting emptiness of knowing you did nothing when you had the chance. Failure can be shared with pride. People respect effort, even if the outcome wasn't successful. But regret is often hidden in shame because it is hard to admit you never tried. The pain of failure is external. The pain of regret is internal, gnawing at the soul. When you fail, you can rebuild. You can start again, pivot, learn, and rise stronger. But regret gives you nothing to rebuild from because you never laid a single brick. It robs you of both the result and the experience. Failure passes with time. You cry, you hurt, you heal. Regret remains with time. It lives in memory, resurfaces in quiet moments, and whispers when you try to sleep. It is a ghost that does not leave. Failure shapes your identity positively. You become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Regret weakens your identity. It convinces you that you are timid, that you are a coward, that you are someone who shrinks back instead of rising up. Failure has a finish line. It happens, it hurts, and then it's over. Regret has no end. It replays endlessly in the mind, not tied to a single moment, but to every moment you realize you missed your chance. Failure grows your capacity for empathy. You understand struggle so you can connect with others who face it. Regret isolates you. You feel alone, convinced others were braver, smarter, or stronger. Instead of connecting, you withdraw. Failure can be redeemed. You can turn it into a story of resilience, perseverance, and comeback. Regret cannot be redeemed because it offers no story to tell, only silence about what could have been. Failure humbles you, but still allows you to walk forward. Regret paralyzes you, chaining you to the past. While failure pushes you to try again, regret convinces you that it's too late, that you are unworthy of a second chance. Failure teaches you where you went wrong, giving you clarity for the future. Regret teaches nothing but doubt. It robs you of confidence, planting seeds of hesitation that grow into bigger fears over time. Failure leaves you tired, but regret leaves you restless. You can sleep after failing, knowing you gave your best, but regret keeps you awake, replaying what you should have done differently. Its weight is heavier than exhaustion. It is dissatisfaction. Failure can bring pride in effort. You may have lost, but you know you were brave enough to enter the fight. Regret carries only shame, reminding you that you never even picked up your sword. Failure is temporary, but regret is permanent. The pain of falling fades, but the memory of not trying at all follows you into every stage of life. Its permanence makes it the greater enemy. Failure is the price of growth. Every strong person has failed countless times before succeeding. Regret is the price of avoidance, and it buys you nothing but wasted years. Growth comes from failing forward, never from standing still. Failure shows you your limits and then pushes you to expand them. Regret leaves you blind to your limits, never knowing how far you could have gone. It keeps your potential locked away, untouched, unrealized. Failure gives closure. You know the outcome, whether good or bad, and you can move on. Regret leaves you in endless speculation, trapped in a maze of what-ifs with no way out. That lack of closure makes it unbearable. So remember, failure is not your enemy. Regret is. Failure may bruise your ego, but regret breaks your spirit. Failure helps you grow. Regret ensures you never begin. And at the end of life, it is not the failures that haunt us. It is the regrets we never escaped. Chapter 3. Small actions that create big shifts. Big transformations rarely arrive in dramatic, earth-shaking moments. More often, they are the result of small actions, repeated consistently, that accumulate into monumental change. A single push-up doesn't transform your body, but 100 days of one push-up changes your strength, your identity, and your confidence. Small actions are the secret architects of massive shifts. People often underestimate small choices because they feel insignificant. Drinking a glass of water instead of soda, reading 10 minutes instead of scrolling, waking up 15 minutes earlier, all seem too minor to matter. But over weeks and months, those small choices compound, reshaping health, knowledge, and productivity in ways that feel almost magical. The mind is easily discouraged by the idea of huge effort. Thinking about writing a book feels overwhelming, but writing 1 page a day is manageable. In a year, that's a full book. Small actions bypass fear by making progress feel accessible, but they carry the same end result as the grand gestures. Every major success story is built on countless small steps. Athletes train daily, often repeating basic movements thousands of times. Musicians practice scales long after they've mastered them. Writers refine sentences word by word. The big moment of glory is simply the visible result of invisible small actions compounded over time. Small actions shift identity. When you meditate for just 5 minutes, you tell yourself, "I am someone who takes care of my mind." When you journal a paragraph, you affirm, "I am someone who reflects." Identity grows stronger with each repeated small act, until you no longer see yourself as a beginner. You see yourself as the kind of person who lives this way. Momentum is born from small wins. Trying to overhaul your life in a single week often leads to burnout, but celebrating one small victory today gives energy for tomorrow. The mind thrives on progress, no matter how small, and those wins create an unstoppable chain reaction. Small actions also rewire the brain. Neuroscience shows that consistent repetition, even in tiny doses, strengthens neural pathways. Over time, the brain adapts, making new habits automatic. That's why brushing your teeth feels effortless. You trained your brain with daily small actions. Many fear they must wait for motivation before acting, but motivation often comes after action. A short walk sparks energy. Writing 1 sentence awakens creativity. Small actions break inertia, and once movement begins, momentum carries you forward naturally. The beauty of small actions is that they remove excuses. Anyone can commit to 5 minutes of exercise, 1 page of reading, or a short reflection. Big commitments are easy to postpone, but small ones feel doable, making them the ultimate antidote to procrastination. Even relationships thrive on small actions. A kind word, a quick message, a short moment of listening, all these create bonds stronger than occasional grand gestures. Love and trust are built not in one big declaration, but in the quiet consistency of everyday effort. Small actions also protect against overwhelm. When life feels too heavy, the mind shuts down under the weight of massive goals. But breaking it into the smallest possible step, just one call, one note, one move, restores control. Each step may be tiny, but together they climb mountains. Great revolutions in history started with small acts of defiance or courage. A single word spoken, a single person standing, a single decision to move differently has sparked movements that changed the world. Never underestimate the ripple effect of even the smallest action. Small actions are seeds. They may look ordinary, but inside them lies exponential growth. A seed is tiny compared to a tree, but without planting, no forest exists. Likewise, one small daily action, invisible today, becomes the towering result of tomorrow. The discipline of small actions builds resilience. By keeping tiny promises to yourself, you prove you are consistent. That consistency grows into self-trust, and self-trust becomes the foundation for taking bigger risks later. Confidence is not found, it is built, step by step. Small actions shift energy. Cleaning one corner of your room can inspire a full transformation of your space. Writing one paragraph can lead to finishing the chapter. Action creates energy, and small action creates it fastest. The ripple of small actions touches others as well. A smile, a compliment, an encouraging word may seem insignificant to you, but to someone else, it can change their day, or even their life. Transformation doesn't always come from large platforms. Sometimes it's in the smallest gestures of humanity. Small actions also guard against the paralysis of perfectionism. Instead of waiting until you can do it perfectly, you start with something imperfect but real. Progress matters more than perfection, and consistent imperfection eventually becomes mastery. Every great journey begins with a single step, but what matters is that the step is taken. Standing at the edge of change feels intimidating until you move. Small actions silence fear by proving to yourself that you can begin, and beginnings create possibility. The biggest shifts are not sudden, they are gradual. Transformation sneaks in quietly, through daily rituals, tiny adjustments, and repeated effort. Then, one day you look back and realize you are no longer the same person. That is the invisible power of small actions done faithfully. So remember, never despise the small. The habits that feel trivial today are the foundations of your future. The world changes not through giant leaps alone, but through countless small actions taken consistently. Build them daily, and you will build a life of extraordinary shifts. Chapter 4. Stop overthinking. Start moving. Overthinking is the silent killer of dreams. It convinces you that you are being productive, when in reality you are paralyzed in thought. You replay possibilities, analyze risks, and predict outcomes, but nothing changes. Life rewards movement, not endless planning. The first step forward teaches more than hours of thought. The mind loves to create scenarios. It tells you stories of everything that could go wrong: failure, embarrassment, rejection. But these stories are illusions, not reality. By overthinking, you live inside fears that haven't even happened. Action, however, grounds you in truth. It shows you what is real instead of what is imagined. Overthinking is the cousin of fear. The longer you sit in thought, the bigger fear grows. What once felt like a simple task becomes a giant mountain. But when you act, fear shrinks. Movement weakens anxiety because you no longer feed it with imagination, you confront it with action. You will never think your way into complete certainty. Waiting for the perfect plan is waiting forever. Every journey begins with unknowns. Every success begins with risk. The way forward is not endless calculation, but stepping boldly into uncertainty. Clarity comes not before action, but after it. Action is the cure for doubt. When you move, even imperfectly, you gain feedback. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what to adjust. Overthinking gives you nothing but speculation. Movement gives you progress, data, and growth. Overthinking creates exhaustion. You can sit still and feel more drained than if you had acted, because your mind burns energy without producing results. Action, even small, energizes you. It creates momentum, and momentum generates power. Many people wait until they feel confident to move, but confidence is not built in thought. It is built in action. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you can move despite fear. Every step forward creates courage. Overthinking disguises itself as intelligence. You feel clever analyzing every detail, but wisdom is not found in endless thought. Wisdom is born from experience, from living, from doing. The wisest people are not those who thought the most, but those who dared the most. Movement rewires the brain. When you act, you show yourself that hesitation is not in control. You are. Each step forward breaks the chain of paralysis. Slowly, action becomes your default, and overthinking loses its grip. The cost of overthinking is opportunity. While you debate, others are building. While you hesitate, doors are closing. The world does not pause for your doubts. Those who act imperfectly often outpace those who wait for perfection. Overthinking often comes from perfectionism. You want the outcome to be flawless before you start. But perfection is an illusion. It never arrives. Action, however imperfect, creates improvement. Perfection comes later, through iteration, not before. Action builds clarity that thought never can. When you move, you see reality as it is. You discover the truth of the situation, not the story your mind invented. Overthinking blurs the picture, but action brings focus. Overthinking keeps you safe in theory, but unsafe in life. You miss opportunities, delay dreams, and allow fear to decide your story. Action may carry risk, but it carries possibility too. Safety in thought is a cage disguised as comfort. Movement inspires creativity. The mind unlocks new ideas when the body is engaged. Walk, build, try, test. Each movement sparks fresh thought. Sitting paralyzed only recycles the same fears. Action feeds inspiration. Overthinking grows heavier the longer you sit in it. Thoughts circle endlessly, making even small choices feel impossible. But the moment you act, weight lifts. Decision breaks the cycle, freeing you from mental clutter. Action creates stories you can tell. Overthinking leaves only silence. When you move, you gain experiences, victories, failures, lessons, growth. These become the narrative of your life. Without action, your story is left unwritten. Overthinking convinces you there is always more to know, but knowledge without use is wasted. You don't need all the answers to begin. Action itself is the teacher. The greatest wisdom comes from experience, not speculation. Every small step chips away at fear. A phone call made, a page written, a mile walked. Each act proves progress. Overthinking makes the mountain taller, but action climbs it one step at a time. Overthinking keeps your dreams in the future. Action brings them into the present. Each move turns vision into reality. Without movement, your dreams remain only ideas, haunting you with what if. The truth is, you cannot think your way into transformation. You must act your way into it. Change does not happen in the mind alone. It requires the body, the will, the motion. Action is transformation in motion. Overthinking feeds procrastination. You tell yourself you are preparing, but in reality, you are delaying. Preparation has a point. Overthinking does not. The cure is to move, however clumsily, because action breaks delay instantly. The body and mind are connected. When you move, even in small ways, your mood changes. Taking action releases energy, clears fog, and builds momentum. Overthinking traps energy inside, turning it into anxiety. Action reveals resilience. You may fail, but you also learn that failure isn't fatal. Overthinking tricks you into believing failure will destroy you, but action proves you can survive it and grow stronger. Overthinking gives power to fear, but action gives power to you. Each time you act, you reclaim authority over your life. You remind yourself that hesitation is not your master. You are. Movement inspires respect. Others admire those who try, even when imperfect. Overthinking, on the other hand, goes unnoticed. Action leaves a mark on the world. Thought alone leaves nothing. Overthinking often feels endless, but it always ends the same way, in regret. Action, however risky, ends with growth. Regret is heavier than failure. Movement ensures you never carry that weight. The greatest leaders are not those who thought the longest, but those who acted when others froze. They made imperfect decisions, learned, adjusted, and moved again. Their courage came not from certainty, but from motion. Overthinking kills spontaneity. Life's most beautiful moments are often unplanned, an idea tried, a step taken, a chance seized. Overthinking suffocates these moments. Action makes them possible. Each time you act, you weaken the habit of hesitation. Habits are built on repetition. Hesitation strengthens overthinking, while action strengthens decisiveness. The choice today determines which habit grows tomorrow. Overthinking blinds you to simplicity. The mind complicates, creating 1,000 possibilities. Action cuts through noise with a single choice. Movement is clarity in its purest form. Overthinking paralyzes the future by chaining you to the present moment. You never move because you never stop analyzing. Action unchains you. Even a small move shifts you forward, breaking time's hold on your hesitation. Momentum is built, not found. Overthinking kills momentum before it starts, while action creates it instantly. The first step may be small, but it starts the chain reaction that builds unstoppable energy. Overthinking consumes your energy but produces no return. It is like pouring water into a bucket with holes. Action, however, channels energy into something tangible. Each step forward is energy invested, not wasted. The habit of overthinking leads to mediocrity. You miss your window while waiting to be ready. Action, even imperfect, creates growth. Those who move surpass those who wait. Overthinking creates self-doubt, but action creates self-trust. Every move proves that you can rely on yourself. With each step, your faith in your ability grows. That faith is the foundation of transformation. Overthinking is endless rehearsal without performance. You practice in your head, but the show never begins. Action is stepping onto the stage, ready or not. Only then can the performance unfold. Life rewards those who dare, not those who delay. Overthinking convinces you to delay until you feel ready, but readiness comes from trying. The sooner you move, the sooner you grow. Overthinking magnifies problems, making them appear larger than they are. Action shrinks problems because movement turns obstacles into steps. What felt impossible becomes manageable once you begin. Overthinking robs you of presence. You're stuck in imagined futures, never living the now. Action roots you in the present moment where change actually happens. So stop overthinking and start moving. The world belongs to those who step forward, not those who sit in hesitation. Your life changes when your feet move, when your hands build, when your heart acts. Thought prepares, but only action transforms. Chapter 5. Time won't wait for you. Time is the one resource that slips through your hands whether you act or not. You can earn back money, rebuild health, and repair relationships, but you can never reclaim a single minute once it has passed. Every day you hesitate, life quietly takes from you an irreplaceable treasure. People live as if they have unlimited time. They postpone dreams, delay apologies, and wait for the right moment. But time is not patient. It keeps moving, regardless of your readiness, and by the time you decide to act, the window may have already closed. The tragedy of waiting is not just lost opportunity, but the realization that you cannot rewind. Regret always comes when you look back and see years gone by with little to show for them. Time will not return those years. It only asks what you will do with what remains. Time is ruthless in its fairness. Everyone receives 24 hours in a day, yet the difference between extraordinary lives and wasted ones is how those hours are spent. Some invest them, others squander them. But time gives equal opportunity to all. Time exposes priorities. Whatever you give your hours to reveals what matters most to you, whether or not you admit it. If your time is consumed by distraction, then distraction is your true value. If your time is spent on growth, then growth defines your path. The clock never stops ticking. Even in your sleep, seconds are passing. Each moment unused is gone forever, taken by silence. Time does not wait for your hesitation, your fear, or your indecision. It moves forward, indifferent to your excuses. You cannot negotiate with time. It doesn't care about your reasons for waiting. It doesn't pause for your doubts or extend deadlines because you felt unprepared. Time moves, and those who fail to move with it are left behind. Time reveals its cost slowly. When you are young, you believe it is endless. But as years pass, you begin to see how quickly decades disappear. The moments you thought you had forever suddenly feel painfully short. Procrastination is time's greatest thief. Every delay feels harmless in the moment, but together they steal entire years. Time punishes hesitation more than failure, because waiting gives you nothing. Not lessons, not progress, not growth. Time is the currency of life. Every action you take is an investment. Waste it and you pay with regret. Invest it and you build a future you can be proud of. The choice is never whether time will be spent, but how. Time humbles us by showing that nothing lasts forever. Relationships change, opportunities fade, and even health declines with time. The longer you delay, the more you lose. To honor time is to act while the chance is still alive. Time magnifies the power of habits. A small action repeated daily compounds into massive results over years. But time also magnifies neglect. Small delays, small excuses, small avoidances become heavy chains in the future. Every hour is a seed. If you plant it wisely, it grows into something valuable. Knowledge, health, success. If you throw it away, it rots. The harvest of your future is determined by what you do with today's hours. Time doesn't stop for your emotions. You may be sad, anxious, or afraid, but the minutes still pass. The clock doesn't slow down because you are struggling. If anything, hard times demand quicker action to protect what little time you have. Time punishes indecision harshly. While you debate endlessly, others are acting. By the time you decide, they are miles ahead. Not because they were smarter, but because they refused to waste the hours you lost in thought. Time is the greatest equalizer, but it also creates inequality. The same 24 hours can be used to build empires or wasted in distraction. In the end, the gap between people is not opportunity, but how they used their time. The danger of ignoring time is that its cost is invisible. You do not feel it day to day, but years later, you wake up and realize how much has slipped away. Few pains are greater than the realization that you had time but wasted it. Time teaches that urgency is wisdom. If something matters, do it now. Waiting for someday is a trap, because someday is not on the calendar. The only real time you ever have is today. Time gives you freedom when used well. The person who invests their hours wisely earns more choices later. The one who wastes them lives with fewer options, trapped by years of neglect. Freedom is not given. It is bought with disciplined time. You don't need more time. You need more urgency. People often say they'll start when they have time, but the truth is, they already have it. What they lack is the commitment to use it with intention. Time shows its value in hindsight. The moments you took for granted, the conversations, the chances, the simple days, become priceless when they are gone. The only way to avoid this pain is to live fully now, while those moments are still here. Time rewards the bold. Those who dare to act, even imperfectly, are granted opportunities that the hesitant never see. Time favors movement, because movement creates momentum, and momentum attracts growth. Time does not wait for healing. If you are hurt and do nothing, years will pass, but wounds remain. Healing requires intentional action, seeking help, forgiving, rebuilding. Time itself does not heal. What you do with time heals. Time is a mirror of choices. Look at your life today, and you'll see the results of how you used your time in the past. Look at your habits today, and you'll see the future those choices will create. Time is merciless to procrastinators, but generous to the disciplined. Even 1 hour a day of focused effort accumulates into greatness. Time multiplies consistency, but destroys hesitation. Every second you hesitate is borrowed from your dreams. Each day lost to distraction is a day stolen from the life you could have lived. Time doesn't care about your intentions, it only measures your actions. Time is always moving, but you decide whether you move with it. If you act, you flow with its current. If you delay, you drown in its tide. The river of time carries all, but only those who swim intentionally reach their chosen destination. Time demands respect. To treat it casually is to treat life casually, because they are one and the same. Respecting time means refusing to waste it on people, habits, and distractions that don't matter. Time also demands courage. Fear convinces you to wait, but courage tells you to act now. Time sides with courage, rewarding those who move forward despite uncertainty. The most successful people are not time-rich, they are time-disciplined. They simply honor each hour, ensuring it is spent on what matters most. Time multiplies their effort because they refuse to waste it. Time is a silent thief. It does not steal in loud moments, but in small daily choices, scrolling, hesitating, delaying. By the time you realize it's gone, the theft is permanent. The only defense is urgency. The truth is, time is not waiting for you, it is running away from you. Each day brings you closer to the end, whether you act or not. Transformation only comes when you stop pretending you have forever. Time is life's strictest teacher. It never gives retakes. It never pauses the test. You either use it well or fail to, and the results are final. Every day is an exam in discipline. Time forces you to confront mortality. We all know it will run out, yet we live as if it won't. Facing this truth is not depressing, it is liberating. It reminds you to live now, because waiting is a luxury you don't have. Time cannot be stored. You cannot save hours for later use. The only storage is in what you create. Memories, growth, impact. That is how time lives on even after it passes. Time teaches humility. No matter how powerful you are, you cannot control it. The richest, strongest, and smartest are all equal before time. It reminds us that urgency is not arrogance, it is necessity. Time is the ultimate accountability partner. It reveals who is disciplined, who is lazy, who is committed, and who only talks. Words mean nothing to time, only actions matter. Time is also the foundation of legacy. What you do with your hours builds what people will remember when you are gone. A wasted life leaves silence. A well-spent life echoes beyond death. The future is not a gift. It is a deadline. Time keeps moving toward it, whether you are ready or not. The only way to meet it with pride is to act today. So remember this truth. Time will not wait for you. It does not care if you hesitate, doubt, or delay. It keeps moving, carrying you with it. The choice is whether you drift aimlessly or act intentionally. Life is short. Time is now. Chapter 6. Courage over comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers promises of safety, ease, and familiarity. But the price of comfort is often your growth, your potential, and your future. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you trade expansion for stagnation. Comfort protects, but it also confines. Courage is the opposite. It is uncomfortable, uncertain, and often terrifying. But it is also the birthplace of transformation. The life you dream of will never be found in the warmth of comfort zones. It lives just beyond them, waiting for you to step forward despite fear. Comfort asks you to stay where you are, to settle for what is familiar. Courage asks you to rise, to risk, to walk into the unknown. And though the unknown is scary, it is also where all progress begins. Nothing meaningful was ever born from staying safe. Comfort tells you tomorrow. Courage tells you now. Comfort convinces you to delay, but courage knows that delay is death for dreams. The sooner you act, the faster you grow. Waiting for the perfect time is comfort's lie. Courage understands there is no perfect time, only this moment. When you choose courage, you invite discomfort. You will face failure, rejection, and criticism. But you will also face growth, resilience, and strength. Comfort spares you from pain, but it also spares you from power. Courage exposes you to both, and through that exposure you rise. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move despite it. Comfort waits for fear to disappear, but fear never fully goes away. Courage accepts fear as a companion, but refuses to let it drive the journey. This choice separates those who expand from those who shrink. Comfort feeds illusions of security. You feel safe in routines, in jobs, in relationships that ask nothing new from you. But security is fragile. The world changes, and what felt safe can crumble. Courage builds real security, the strength to adapt, to endure, to rebuild no matter what happens. Courage opens doors comfort will never allow you to see. New opportunities, new people, new skills. They exist only when you step outside what you know. Comfort may feel like preservation, but it is actually slow decay. Courage is growth disguised as risk. When you choose comfort, you silence your own potential. The voice inside that whispers, "You were made for more," grows quiet. But when you choose courage, that voice grows louder, urging you onward, reminding you of what is possible. Courage requires sacrifice. You may lose approval, certainty, or temporary ease, but what you gain is worth infinitely more: self-respect, growth, and a future without regret. Comfort costs nothing in the moment, but everything in the long run. Courage costs in the short term, but pays forever. Courage is the muscle of the soul. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Each act of bravery, no matter how small, strengthens your capacity for greater acts later. Comfort weakens this muscle, making you fragile. Courage trains you to be unbreakable. Choosing courage over comfort means embracing failure as part of the process. You stop fearing mistakes because you understand they are proof of effort. Comfort hides you from failure, but also from progress. Courage invites both, knowing one cannot exist without the other. Comfort is a slow thief. It steals your time, your ambition, and your spirit without you realizing it. Years later, you look back and wonder where your fire went. Courage, though risky, gives back more than it takes. It gives you a story worth telling. Every dream demands courage. No writer, leader, athlete, or innovator succeeded by staying comfortable. They faced fear, ridicule, and uncertainty. Their victories were not born of safety, but of bravery. Comfort never produces greatness. Only courage does. Courage is the antidote to regret. You may fail when you try, but at least you tried. You'll walk away with lessons and pride, but if you stay in comfort, regret will follow you forever. Regret weighs more than any failure ever could. Comfort feeds on excuses. It says, "I'll do it when I have more time, more money, more confidence." But courage destroys excuses by proving action is possible even without perfect conditions. Those who wait for comfort never begin. Those who choose courage never stop. Courage is uncomfortable because it demands honesty. It forces you to admit when you're hiding, when you're settling, when you're living below your potential. Comfort lets you lie to yourself, but courage insists on truth. And truth, though painful, is the path to freedom. Comfort is like a cage. It looks safe, it feels familiar, but it keeps you trapped. The door is unlocked, but few walk through because courage is required to leave. The irony is that the moment you step out, you realize the cage was never real. It was fear disguised as safety. Courage transforms you. The moment you step into fear and move anyway, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. Each act of courage rewrites your identity until you no longer see yourself as weak, but as capable of anything. Courage is contagious. When you step out of comfort, you inspire others to do the same. Your bravery becomes a spark that lights fires in others. Comfort influences no one. Courage creates movements. Comfort keeps you dreaming, but never doing. It lets you imagine possibilities, but denies you the reality of living them. Courage bridges the gap between dream and action. It says, "Enough imagining. Now it's time to live." When you choose courage, you learn resilience. Every setback becomes fuel. Every obstacle becomes training. Comfort spares you the battle, but it also denies you the strength that only battles create. Courage equips you for the storms comfort cannot protect you from. Courage demands presence. You cannot be courageous tomorrow. You must act today. Comfort thrives in delay, but courage insists on now. The present is the only place transformation exists, and courage is the key to unlocking it. Courage is choosing growth over ease. It is waking up early to work on your craft, speaking up when silence feels safer, trying again after failure. Comfort whispers, "Stay here." Courage replies, "Rise higher." Comfort is temporary relief. Courage is permanent reward. The discomfort of bravery lasts only a moment, but the pride of courage lasts a lifetime. The comfort of avoidance lasts a moment, but the regret of avoidance lasts forever. Courage expands your world. Each risk you take opens new horizons, new people, new possibilities. Comfort shrinks your world, keeping you trapped in the same patterns. The more courage you choose, the larger your life becomes. Courage is the test of character. It proves what you truly value: safety or growth, ease or impact, fear or faith. Comfort hides character, but courage reveals it. Every courageous act declares who you are becoming. Comfort is about survival. Courage is about living. Comfort keeps you alive, but courage makes you feel alive. One is existence, the other is experience. Which you choose determines the quality of your life. Courage requires faith. You cannot see the outcome, but you trust that stepping forward is worth it. Comfort clings to certainty, but certainty is an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and only courage equips you to thrive in its unpredictability. Courage is action despite doubt. Everyone feels afraid, everyone questions themselves, but only the courageous step forward anyway. Comfort convinces you to wait until the doubt disappears, but by then, the chance is gone. Courage rewrites destiny. A single brave choice, a move, a conversation, a leap can alter the course of your entire life. Comfort ensures nothing changes. Courage guarantees transformation. Choosing courage means accepting discomfort as part of growth. Muscles grow by tearing and healing stronger. The soul grows the same way. Comfort avoids pain, but also avoids strength. Courage embraces the pain that builds power. Courage sharpens vision. When you step into the unknown, you begin to see possibilities invisible from the safety of comfort. Action reveals paths overthinking never could. Courage creates clarity by walking into darkness. Comfort leads to mediocrity. Courage leads to mastery. Every person you admire has walked through fear, discomfort, and doubt. They are not different from you. They simply chose courage when comfort called their name. Courage is freedom. It frees you from the prison of what if. It frees you from the weight of regret. It frees you from the illusion that safety is better than risk. The price of freedom is courage, and it is worth every drop of fear. Comfort will always tempt you, but courage will always transform you. The choice is simple, but not easy. Remain safe or rise strong. One leads to regret, the other leads to greatness. In the end, courage is the only path worth walking. Chapter 7. Turning fear into fuel. Fear is universal. Everyone feels it. Before the leap, before the conversation, before the decision that could change everything. But the difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck is not the absence of fear, but what they do with it. Fear can paralyze, or it can energize. It can hold you down, or it can become the very fuel that propels you forward. Most people misunderstand fear. They see it as a stop sign, a warning to retreat, a signal that they are not ready. But fear is often proof that you are standing at the edge of growth. It means you are moving beyond the familiar, stepping into territory where transformation is possible. Instead of running, the courageous learn to lean into it. Fear is energy. It quickens your heartbeat, sharpens your senses, and floods your body with adrenaline. Left unused, that energy becomes anxiety, tightening your chest and clouding your mind. But redirected, it becomes fuel. It gives you focus, speed, and power to act boldly. The same energy that makes you tremble can also make you unstoppable. Every great performer, athlete, and leader feels fear. They simply choose to channel it. A runner uses the rush of nerves at the starting line to explode forward. A speaker uses the trembling of anticipation to project with passion. Fear doesn't vanish for them. It transforms. It becomes proof that what they're about to do matters. Fear reveals importance. You don't feel afraid of the trivial, you feel afraid of what could truly change you. The presence of fear is often a compass pointing to the very thing you should do. The opportunities you fear the most are usually the ones that hold the greatest potential for growth. Avoiding fear robs you of strength. Each time you run, you shrink. The fear grows larger and you grow smaller. But each time you face it, the opposite happens. You grow, and fear shrinks. Slowly, you realize fear was never an enemy. It was an invitation to rise. Fear can sharpen clarity. In moments of high stakes, your senses heighten, your focus narrows, and you become fully present. This is why people often perform their best under pressure. Fear pulls you out of autopilot and forces you to meet the moment with everything you have. Fear is also a teacher. It exposes where you lack preparation, where you doubt yourself, where you still need growth. Instead of seeing it as failure, see it as feedback. Fear points to the exact areas that demand your attention. It guides you toward mastery. Turning fear into fuel begins with perspective. Instead of saying, "I'm terrified," reframe it as, "I'm energized." The body's signals are the same: sweaty palms, rapid heartbeat, shaky hands. The difference is the story you attach. Fearful story equals paralysis. Empowering story equals action. When you use fear as fuel, you stop waiting for it to disappear. You accept that fear will always walk beside you, but you choose to hold the steering wheel. You drive forward with fear in the passenger seat, no longer in control but still present as a reminder that you're alive. Fear is the price of ambition. The higher you climb, the more fear you feel. But instead of being a barrier, it is proof of progress. If you feel fear, it means you are stretching, growing, daring. If you feel nothing, it often means you are standing still. Channeling fear requires movement. If you sit in it, fear multiplies. But the moment you take action, make the call, step on the stage, press record, fear transforms into focus. Action is the alchemy that turns fear into fuel. Fear also creates humility. It reminds you that you are human, that you care, that the outcome matters. Without fear, you would be careless. With it, you respect the challenge and prepare deeply. Fear fuels diligence. Those who embrace fear often outperform those who avoid it. Not because they are braver by nature, but because they allow fear's energy to drive them instead of freeze them. They step into the same fire others run from, and in that fire they discover strength. Fear and excitement are twins. Physiologically they feel the same: the pounding heart, the rapid breath, the adrenaline. The difference is interpretation. Call it fear and you freeze. Call it excitement and you soar. The shift of a single word can change the outcome. Facing fear builds resilience. Each time you conquer it, you gain evidence that you can survive, endure, and grow. The next time fear appears, you remember your victories. Over time, fear becomes less of a monster and more of a familiar challenge you know you can handle. Fear also sharpens gratitude. Standing in moments of uncertainty makes you realize how precious your life and opportunities are. When you act despite fear, you value the experience more because you know you fought through resistance to reach it. Fear connects you to purpose. You only fear losing what matters. The very fact that you are afraid means something important is at stake. Instead of resenting fear, thank it. It is showing you where your passion lives. You cannot eliminate fear, but you can choose its role. Will it be the weight on your shoulders or the wind at your back? Will it stop you or will it carry you forward? The choice is always yours, and that choice defines your future. Fear transforms into courage when faced directly. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement through it. Each act of courage is simply a person choosing to walk with fear, using its energy instead of surrendering to it. This is the secret to turning fear into fuel. Fear is a compass for growth. The things you avoid most, the call, the opportunity, the risk, are usually the exact things that could change your life. By chasing your fears instead of fleeing them, you unlock doors that comfort would keep closed forever. Fear also reveals your values. If you fear speaking up, it's because you care about being heard. If you fear failure, it's because you value success. Fear exposes what matters most, so use it as a guide, not a prison. Every act of greatness carried fear with it. No invention, no performance, no achievement came without trembling hands and racing hearts. The difference is that the great ones moved anyway. They converted fear into fuel for action, and history remembers them for it. When you hide from fear, it grows. But when you face it, it diminishes. This is why small acts of courage build massive strength. Each confrontation makes the next one easier until fear becomes less of an obstacle and more of an ally. Fear keeps you alive, but courage makes you live. Biological fear is designed to protect you from danger, but modern fear often protects you from growth. The key is to discern which is which, and then to use the unnecessary fear as rocket fuel. Fear intensifies presence. In moments of fear, you are not distracted. You are awake, alive, fully engaged. If you lean into that energy instead of retreat, you discover levels of focus you never thought possible. Fear also prevents complacency. When you feel it, you know you are stretching. Comfort dulls the edges of ambition, but fear sharpens them. Each time you step into fear, you sharpen your hunger for life. Turning fear into fuel is a decision made in seconds. Do you step forward or back? Do you let fear dictate your story, or do you write the story anyway? Those small choices, repeated daily, create a life defined by courage or by hesitation. Fear prepares you for success. If you can handle the nerves of risk, you can handle the weight of achievement. The same adrenaline that terrifies you before action will sustain you once you step into greater responsibility. Fear teaches flexibility. Plans rarely survive contact with reality, and fear reminds you to adapt, adjust, and keep moving. It trains you to thrive in uncertainty instead of waiting for stability that may never come. Fear awakens hidden strength. You never know how powerful you are until fear forces you to test yourself. The moments that terrify you most often reveal abilities you didn't know existed. Fear uncovers what comfort keeps buried. Fear becomes fuel when paired with purpose. Without purpose, it overwhelms. With purpose, it ignites. If your why is strong enough, fear turns from enemy to ally, giving you the push you need to move through the fire. The greatest victories are always on the other side of fear. The dreams you crave most lie behind the walls of what terrifies you, and when you finally step through, you realize the fear was smaller than the regret of never trying. Fear is proof that you are alive. It means you are standing at the edge of possibility, about to enter a chapter that could redefine you. Instead of letting it push you back, let it push you forward. Use it, harness it, transform it. Fear is fuel waiting for ignition. All it takes is one choice, one step forward, one leap of faith, one act of courage. From that moment, fear changes shape. It stops being your enemy and becomes your power. And that power can carry you further than you ever imagined. So let fear be your fire, not your prison. Let it propel you, not paralyze you. The choice will not remove fear, but it will redefine it. And in that redefinition lies freedom, the freedom to act, to grow, to live boldly. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Daily Action. Discipline is the bridge between intention and transformation. Many people dream, plan, and talk about change, but only those who act daily cross that bridge. Daily action is what turns ideas into reality, habits into identity, and effort into results. Without discipline, even the best vision fades into nothing. Daily action is powerful because it compounds. A single push-up means little, but one push-up a day for a year builds strength, confidence, and consistency. One page written daily becomes a book. One honest conversation daily deepens relationships. Discipline multiplies effort until ordinary steps create extraordinary outcomes. Discipline demands consistency, not perfection. You don't need to act flawlessly every day. You need to act faithfully. Missing once doesn't ruin the journey, but giving up does. The strength of discipline lies in returning again and again until persistence becomes who you are. Daily action eliminates the illusion of luck. From the outside, success may look sudden, but in reality, it is the result of years of unseen consistency. Every breakthrough was built on thousands of ordinary days where discipline won over distraction. Discipline removes the need for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes with mood. Discipline is steady. When you commit to action regardless of feeling, you free yourself from the trap of waiting to feel ready. Readiness is created by doing, not by waiting. Daily discipline builds trust in yourself. Each time you follow through, you prove that your word matters. Self-respect grows when your actions match your intentions. Over time, that trust becomes the foundation of unstoppable confidence. Discipline also protects you from overwhelm. Big goals feel impossible when viewed as a whole, but broken into daily steps, they become manageable. A mountain is climbed one step at a time, and discipline ensures that step is taken every single day. Daily action sharpens focus. When you commit to discipline, you no longer waste time wondering what to do. The decision is already made. That clarity frees mental energy for growth instead of endless hesitation. Discipline is a choice repeated until it becomes identity. At first it feels difficult, but with repetition it becomes natural. Eventually you no longer force yourself. You simply act because it is who you are. That is the true power of daily discipline. The discipline of daily action is freedom disguised as structure. To the undisciplined, routine feels like a cage. But in reality, discipline frees you from chaos, procrastination, and regret. It gives you control over your time, your energy, and your future. Daily discipline is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary lives. Talent and intelligence help, but consistency outlasts both. History remembers not just the gifted, but the disciplined, the ones who showed up daily, even when no one was watching. Discipline requires sacrifice. You give up temporary comfort for long-term gain. You trade hours of distraction for hours of building, but the reward is always worth more than what was given up. The short-term sacrifice becomes a lifetime of achievement. Daily action silences overthinking. Instead of debating endlessly about what to do, you move. Action cuts through noise, replacing hesitation with progress. Discipline doesn't argue, it acts. Discipline is not glamorous. Most days it feels ordinary, repetitive, and quiet, but those quiet days build the loudest results. Success is less about shining moments and more about consistent ones. Daily discipline transforms fear into strength. Fear whispers, "What if you fail?" Discipline replies, "I will show up anyway." Over time, this persistence makes you fearless, not because fear disappears, but because you prove you can act despite it. Discipline makes momentum possible. Action leads to progress. Progress creates energy, and energy fuels more action. The cycle begins with discipline, the willingness to start moving when comfort tempts you to stay still. Daily action strengthens resilience. When life gets hard, discipline keeps you steady. You may not control circumstances, but you control your consistency. That stability becomes an anchor during storms. Discipline brings clarity of purpose. By acting daily, you refine what works and discard what doesn't. You don't just think about your path, you walk it. Each day teaches you more than endless contemplation ever could. The discipline of daily action is the cure for regret. Regret comes from neglect, not from effort. Even if you fail, you will never regret trying daily. What you will regret is the days wasted in distraction while your dreams waited. Discipline transforms goals into systems. Goals are targets, but discipline is the process of reaching them. By focusing on systems, your daily habits, you guarantee progress, regardless of how far the goal may seem. Daily action compounds confidence. Each completed task is evidence that you are capable. The more evidence you gather, the more unshakable your belief becomes. Confidence is not built in thought, it is built in consistent action. Discipline also creates balance. By committing to daily priorities, you naturally filter out what doesn't matter. The more consistent you are with essentials, the less time you waste on distractions. Discipline simplifies life. The discipline of daily action is like water carving stone. Each drop seems weak, but together they shape mountains. Your small daily actions may feel invisible now, but they are sculpting a future you won't even recognize. Discipline is commitment in motion. It is the proof that your words are not empty. Each day you act, you reinforce the promise you made to yourself. Transformation is nothing more than promises kept through discipline. Daily discipline breaks cycles of laziness. The first few steps are the hardest. But once the rhythm is set, it carries you forward. Consistency destroys the inertia of idleness. Discipline protects against emotional swings. Bad days, low moods, disappointments, they come for everyone. But discipline ensures progress regardless. It allows you to move forward even when your feelings tell you to quit. Daily action gives life direction. Without discipline, days blur together in meaningless repetition. With it, every day becomes a building block toward a greater vision. You stop drifting and start designing. Discipline creates peace of mind. Instead of feeling guilty for what you didn't do, you rest knowing you showed up. That peace is priceless, and it comes only from consistency. Daily action inspires others. Your discipline becomes a silent example, proving that effort beats excuse. Without words, you encourage those around you to rise. Comfort may influence no one, but discipline influences everyone it touches. Discipline teaches humility. Results don't arrive instantly, and consistency forces you to accept the slow pace of growth. In that slowness, you develop patience, wisdom, and respect for the process. Daily action unlocks mastery. Skill is not built overnight, but through years of disciplined practice. The greatest musicians, athletes, and thinkers became extraordinary by showing up daily when others stopped. Discipline transforms chaos into order. By structuring your days with intentional action, you create stability where once there was disorder. That structure becomes the foundation for bigger risks and greater growth. Daily action teaches self-respect. Each time you honor your commitment, you prove you are reliable to yourself. That reliability builds dignity, which no one can take away. Discipline ensures you are ready for opportunity. When doors open, only the disciplined are prepared to walk through them. Luck often visits, but it only rewards those who have been consistently preparing. Daily action turns pain into progress. Effort is uncomfortable, but with discipline, that discomfort becomes strength. Each drop of sweat, each moment of strain, each hour of focus deposits into a future you'll one day thank yourself for. Discipline makes the extraordinary seem ordinary. What once felt impossible eventually becomes your baseline. Through daily action, you normalize greatness until it feels natural. That is the quiet miracle of discipline. Daily action is love in practice. It is the highest form of self-care, choosing what your future self will thank you for over what your present self craves. Comfort indulges, discipline invests. So remember, daily discipline is not punishment. It is freedom, direction, confidence, and strength. Each day you show up, you transform yourself, piece by piece. And one day, you'll look back and realize discipline didn't just change your results, it changed your life. Chapter 9. Learn fast, fail forward, grow stronger. Failure has been painted as the enemy for too long. In reality, failure is the tuition you pay for growth. Every mistake carries a lesson, and every setback sharpens your resilience. Those who fear failure avoid action, but those who embrace it accelerate progress. The secret is not to avoid failure, but to fail forward, learning quickly and rising stronger each time. Learning fast begins with humility. You must accept that you don't know everything and that mistakes are inevitable. The humble mind asks, "What can I take from this?" while the proud mind asks, "Why me?" Humility transforms pain into progress, turning each stumble into a stepping stone. Failing forward means redefining what failure even is. It's not the end of the road, it's simply feedback. The only true failure is refusing to try or refusing to learn. When you see failure as information rather than identity, you free yourself to grow without fear. Every success story is built on mountains of mistakes. Athletes miss more shots than they make. Entrepreneurs lose money before they build wealth. Writers draft poorly before they publish brilliance. The visible success is just the tip of an iceberg made of countless failures hidden beneath the surface. The faster you learn from failure, the faster you grow. Lingering in self-pity wastes valuable time. But those who immediately reflect, adjust, and move again are the ones who climb quickly. Every failure is fuel, if you choose to use it. Failing forward requires courage because it asks you to risk again after being hurt, but each time you return, you prove to yourself that pain does not define you. Resilience is built not by avoiding struggle, but by facing it repeatedly until fear loses its hold. Failure strengthens character. It humbles arrogance, deepens empathy, and teaches patience. Success without failure creates fragility, but success built through failure creates strength. The strongest people you know are not those who never fell, but those who always stood back up. Learn fast by asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Why did I fail?" ask, "What is this teaching me? What will I do differently next time?" Questions shape perception, and perception shapes growth. The right questions turn setbacks into strategies. Failing forward means breaking the myth of perfection. Perfection is a trap that keeps you stuck in hesitation. Progress, not perfection, is the real goal. Those who demand perfection before acting never begin, while those who accept imperfection move forward and improve. Failure is temporary, but its lessons are permanent. One mistake can teach you more than years of safety. When you lean into those lessons, you carry wisdom that can never be taken away. Each scar becomes proof of growth. Failure exposes weaknesses, and that exposure is a gift. You cannot fix what you cannot see. By revealing your blind spots, failure directs your growth to exactly where it is needed. It is not punishment, it is guidance. To learn fast, you must detach your worth from your results. Failure does not mean you are worthless, it means you are human. When you separate identity from outcome, you gain the freedom to experiment, to risk, and to grow without fear. Failing forward requires persistence. Many give up after one setback, assuming it means they are not capable. But failure is not the universe saying stop. It is saying try again, but differently. Persistence is what separates those who quit from those who rise. Every failure carries seeds of innovation. Many breakthroughs were born from mistakes, a wrong turn that revealed a better path, a failed experiment that sparked a new idea. When you fail forward, you harvest those seeds instead of discarding them. Failure also teaches resilience in relationships. Rejections, misunderstandings, and disappointments are painful, but they also strengthen your emotional muscles. You learn to communicate better, to forgive quicker, and to love deeper when you fail forward in connection. Learning fast means refusing to romanticize struggle. Failure is not glamorous, it hurts. But by confronting the pain directly, you extract the lesson faster. Denial slows growth. Honesty accelerates it. Failing forward builds adaptability. Life rarely unfolds as planned, and failure forces you to adjust. Adaptability is one of the greatest strengths a person can have, and it is cultivated through repeated encounters with failure. Failure humbles the ego, reminding you that you are still a student. And when you adopt the mindset of a learner instead of a master, you become unstoppable. The more you accept failure as part of the process, the more open you are to lifelong growth. Failure tests commitment. Anyone can keep going when things are easy. True dedication is proven when you continue after falling short. Failing forward reveals how deeply you believe in your vision. Failing forward also builds credibility. People respect those who try, fail, and rise again far more than those who never risk. Your scars become your testimony, proof that you dared, endured, and overcame. Failure strips away illusions. It shows you reality, your limits, your mistakes, your weaknesses. And when you see reality clearly, you gain the power to change it. Illusions keep you weak. Truth, even painful truth, makes you strong. Learning fast requires detachment from pride. Pride wants to be right. Wisdom wants to be better. When you let go of the need to appear flawless, you gain the ability to learn quickly and adjust without shame. Failing forward expands capacity. Each time you face failure and continue, you expand the limits of what you can handle. What once broke you now feels manageable. Growth is measured not in victories, but in the strength you carry after defeat. Failure also refines gratitude. Success tastes sweeter when you know the bitterness of loss. The setbacks make the victories meaningful. Without failure, triumph feels shallow. With failure, it feels earned. To grow stronger, you must change your relationship with risk. Safe paths feel tempting, but they keep you stagnant. Risk brings failure, but it also brings growth. If you avoid one, you avoid the other. Courage lies in embracing both. Failing forward is an antidote to fear. The more you face it, the less power fear holds. You realize that failure hurts, but it doesn't kill. Each time you survive it, you grow bolder. Soon, fear loses its voice. Failure often redirects you toward better paths. What feels like loss in the moment may actually be protection from the wrong direction. Many discover their true calling only after failing at what they thought they wanted. Learning fast means treating feedback as fuel, not insult. Criticism stings, but it often contains gold. Those who fail forward are not defensive. They mine feedback for insights and adjust quickly. Failure breaks comfort. It forces you to confront hard truths, to question assumptions, to grow beyond what you thought possible. Comfort keeps you asleep. Failure wakes you up. Failing forward requires self-compassion. You must forgive yourself for mistakes and refuse to wallow in shame. Guilt paralyzes. Compassion frees you to try again with fresh strength. Failure connects you to others. Everyone fails, but few admit it. When you share your failures openly, you build trust and inspire others to rise. Authenticity lives in scars, not in perfection. The more you fail forward, the less fragile you become. You stop fearing rejection, judgment, or mistakes because you know they cannot break you. You become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because you grew stronger. Failure also reveals resilience hidden in the soul. Sometimes you don't know how strong you are until you are forced to rise after falling. That rise is the birthplace of true power. Failing forward teaches you to value the process more than the result. You learn that growth is not measured only by success, but by the wisdom, strength, and character you build along the way. Failure prepares you for success better than success itself. Success may teach pride, but failure teaches perseverance, and perseverance is what sustains achievement when success finally arrives. So remember, the goal is not to avoid failure, but to embrace it as part of the path. Learn fast, fail forward, and grow stronger with every step. In the end, your scars will not be signs of weakness, but symbols of resilience and the proof that you lived courageously. Chapter 10. Building Momentum. One step at a time. Momentum is the invisible force that transforms small beginnings into unstoppable progress. It is what turns effort into energy and energy into achievement. At first, progress feels slow, like pushing a heavy rock uphill, but with each step, the rock begins to roll, and soon, momentum does more of the work than effort ever could. Building momentum doesn't require giant leaps. It requires consistency. One step, then another, and then another. Each small move may seem insignificant, but together they create unstoppable motion. Success is rarely about intensity, it is about persistence. Momentum begins the moment you decide to move. Even the smallest action breaks inertia, and inertia is the hardest enemy to defeat. Once you take the first step, the second becomes easier, and the third easier still. Suddenly, you are no longer forcing yourself. You are being carried by momentum. The secret of momentum is that it grows quietly. You may not notice the change at first, but days of discipline turn into weeks, and weeks into months. By the time you realize it, the effort that once felt impossible has become natural, and progress feels inevitable. Momentum magnifies effort. A person who acts consistently will always outpace someone who waits for inspiration. Once momentum is on your side, even small actions have multiplied power, carrying you further than you imagined. One step at a time may feel slow, but it is the only pace that guarantees success. Trying to leap too far often leads to burnout, but steady steps build endurance, ensuring that you not only reach your goal, but stay strong when you arrive. Momentum also protects against fear. The more you move, the less room there is for hesitation. Fear thrives in stillness, but movement starves it. Each step forward leaves fear further behind. Momentum is built on routine. When actions become automatic, you no longer waste energy debating whether to act. You simply move. That automation is the key to creating unstoppable progress. Every habit is momentum in disguise. Brushing your teeth, exercising, writing, meditating, done daily, these actions create streams of progress that carry you forward without constant struggle. Small habits are seeds that grow into forests of momentum. Momentum creates confidence. At first, doubt is loud, but as you accumulate wins, however small, belief begins to grow. Confidence is not found in thought, it is earned in motion. Each completed step is evidence that you can keep going. Momentum is contagious. Once you begin, other areas of your life start moving too. Progress in health fuels progress in work. Growth in mindset fuels growth in relationships. Energy in one area spills into the rest, multiplying the effect. The key to building momentum is focus. Trying to do everything at once scatters energy, but focusing on one clear step creates traction. Once traction is built, you can expand, but without it, you remain stuck. Momentum requires patience. The first steps often feel unrewarding, as if nothing is changing, but persistence builds compounding results, and eventually growth accelerates so quickly that it feels like a breakthrough. In reality, it was momentum all along. Momentum thrives on discipline, not emotion. If you wait to feel motivated, you'll never move. But if you commit to action regardless of mood, momentum begins to build. And once it does, motivation returns naturally. Momentum also teaches resilience. When setbacks come, as they always do, those who have built momentum recover faster. A single obstacle cannot stop a moving train. It only slows it briefly before it surges forward again. Each step you take is not just progress, it is proof. Proof that you are capable, proof that you are committed, proof that you are building. Momentum is the evidence of persistence, and persistence always wins. Momentum reduces resistance. At the beginning, action feels heavy, but the more you repeat it, the lighter it becomes. What once felt impossible soon feels effortless, because momentum carries the weight with you. Momentum makes time an ally. Each day of consistent effort adds to the rolling force, ensuring that the longer you persist, the easier growth becomes. Time multiplies the effect of momentum, turning patience into power. Momentum transforms identity. At first, you act like a beginner, forcing yourself forward. But as momentum grows, you stop forcing. You simply are. You become the type of person who moves, who grows, who persists. That shift is permanent. Momentum is built, not found. You cannot wait for it to appear. You must create it. And the way to create it is simple. Start. The first step is the spark, and every step after feeds the fire until it burns on its own. Momentum is a cycle. Action creates progress. Progress creates belief. Belief fuels more action. This cycle compounds until what once seemed impossible now feels natural. The hardest part is starting the cycle, but once it spins, it rarely stops. Momentum thrives on clarity. Without clear direction, energy is scattered. But when you know your next step, momentum builds easily. Clarity and consistency are the twin engines of unstoppable growth. Momentum requires letting go of perfection. If you wait to take the perfect step, you'll remain stuck. Imperfect action is better than flawless hesitation. Each imperfect move builds momentum, while perfectionism destroys it. Momentum builds through repetition. Doing the same small thing daily creates rhythm, and rhythm creates power. The greats in every field are not those who did something extraordinary once, but those who did something ordinary thousands of times. Momentum doesn't demand huge energy, it demands steady energy. Even slow, consistent effort outpaces bursts of intensity. A dripping faucet carves stone over time because persistence always outlasts force. Momentum can turn into mastery. At first, you struggle with basics, but through steady repetition, momentum builds skill until what was once difficult becomes automatic. Mastery is simply momentum carried long enough. Momentum doesn't only carry you forward, it carries others with you. Your movement inspires, your energy lifts, your consistency motivates. People around you begin to move because you did, creating waves beyond yourself. Momentum guards against regret. When you keep moving daily, you know you are progressing. Even if results are slow, you have proof you are building. Regret comes from standing still. Peace comes from momentum. Momentum reveals hidden potential. When you begin, you can't see how far you'll go, but each step uncovers strength, ideas, and opportunities you didn't know existed. The more you move, the more of yourself you discover. Momentum creates freedom. It frees you from the constant battle with procrastination. It frees you from self-doubt. Once established, momentum removes the hardest part of growth: starting. From there, progress becomes almost effortless. Momentum is fragile in the beginning but unstoppable once built. One missed day early can stall it, but later even setbacks can't break it. Protect it when it's small, and it will protect you when it's strong. Momentum thrives on environment. Surround yourself with people who move, and you'll move too. Surround yourself with stillness, and your momentum dies. Choose your environment carefully, because it fuels or drains your motion. Momentum transforms your relationship with effort. At first, discipline feels heavy, but once momentum is established, discipline feels natural. You stop fighting yourself. You flow. This flow is the reward of consistent effort. Momentum is proof that transformation doesn't happen in giant leaps, but in small, steady steps. Every success you admire is simply someone who refused to stop moving, even when progress seemed invisible. Momentum keeps life exciting. Each day builds on the last, creating a sense of acceleration. Instead of feeling stuck, you feel alive, as though you are carried by a force greater than yourself. That force is your own persistence multiplied by time. Momentum ensures that your future is not built someday. It is built today. Every step adds to the rolling force that shapes tomorrow. Waiting builds nothing. Acting, even imperfectly, builds everything. So remember this: momentum is not magic. It is motion multiplied. One step, then another, and another. Keep moving, and soon momentum will carry you where hesitation never could. Your future is built one step at a time. Chapter 11. Living boldly, not carefully. Carefulness is praised by society because it looks safe, measured, and responsible. But in truth, living too carefully is another name for living small. It is a life governed by fear: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of risk. Living boldly, on the other hand, is not about recklessness. It is about living fully, courageously, and unapologetically aligned with your true potential. Carefulness avoids mistakes, but it also avoids growth. When you choose safety at every turn, you also choose stagnation. A bold life may include failures, but it also includes victories, breakthroughs, and moments that define you forever. Playing it safe ensures you never fall, but it also ensures you never rise. Living boldly requires you to act on your desires instead of burying them. Many people suppress their dreams under the weight of practicality and fear, but the bold dare to chase them, knowing that the pain of trying is far lighter than the pain of regret. A careful life looks tidy on the outside but feels empty within. You follow the rules, meet expectations, and avoid risks, but deep inside you wonder, what if? Bold living flips this script. You may stumble, you may fail, but you never wonder what could have been. Boldness doesn't mean thoughtless action. It means refusing to let fear make your decisions. It means speaking when silence feels safer, standing when sitting would be easier, acting when waiting feels more comfortable. Boldness is deliberate courage in motion. Carefulness prioritizes approval. You move only when others agree, and you stay silent when your truth is unpopular. Boldness prioritizes authenticity. You live in alignment with your values, even if it means standing alone. Approval fades, but authenticity builds a life of integrity. Living boldly creates stories. Every bold choice, asking for the opportunity, moving to a new place, confessing love, starting the project, becomes a moment you'll remember forever. Carefulness, however, leaves you with silence. No stories, no memories, no transformation, just safety wrapped in regret. Boldness sharpens identity. Each brave step teaches you who you really are. You learn your limits, your values, your passions. Carefulness keeps identity vague because you never test yourself. To know yourself deeply, you must dare boldly. Living boldly opens doors that carefulness keeps closed. Opportunities often require risk. If you always wait until you are certain, the chance passes. Boldness is rewarded because life favors those who act, not those who hesitate. Carefulness looks like control, but it is really fear in disguise. You control every detail, trying to minimize risk, but in the process, you minimize life. Boldness accepts uncertainty, embracing the truth that you cannot control everything, but you can still choose to live fully. Bold living creates momentum. One bold action inspires another, and soon your life becomes a chain of courage. Careful living creates paralysis. One hesitation leads to another, and soon your life becomes a chain of missed chances. Boldness requires vulnerability. It asks you to risk rejection, to admit you don't know the outcome, to expose yourself to failure. Carefulness hides behind certainty, never allowing you to be seen. But true connection, success, and transformation come only through vulnerability. Living boldly teaches resilience. When you step out, you will fall, but each fall builds strength. You learn to rise faster, to endure longer, to trust yourself more. Carefulness avoids falls, but it also avoids the strength that comes with recovery. Boldness creates freedom. When you stop living to avoid mistakes, you begin living to create meaning. Carefulness chains you to the expectations of others, but boldness liberates you to design a life on your own terms. A bold life feels alive. Your heart races, your senses sharpen, your spirit ignites. Carefulness feels dull. You exist, but you don't thrive. Life was never meant to be survived. It was meant to be lived. Boldness is contagious. When you dare, others are inspired to dare too. Your courage becomes a mirror that reflects back to them their own potential. Carefulness inspires no one. It only reinforces fear. Boldness creates ripples of transformation. Living boldly demands faith in yourself. You must trust that you can handle the consequences of your choices, even if they don't go as planned. Carefulness waits for certainty before moving, but certainty never arrives. Boldness trusts ability over outcome. Boldness is saying yes when fear says no. It is applying for the role you feel unqualified for, starting the project you don't fully understand, confessing the dream you've hidden. Carefulness says, wait until you're ready. Boldness says, act now. Readiness will come later. Carefulness protects ego. It ensures you are never embarrassed, never judged, never seen as weak. But it also ensures you are never extraordinary. Boldness risks ego but strengthens the soul. It teaches you that humiliation fades, but courage endures. Living boldly is not about constant risk, but about aligned risk. It is not about gambling blindly, but about choosing paths that scare you because they matter. The bold understand that fear is a signal of importance, not danger. Boldness breaks the cycle of regret. Each bold move may not succeed, but it creates experience. Carefulness only creates longing. At the end of life, the bold say, "At least I tried." The careful say, "I wish I had." Living boldly is about embracing uncertainty. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You need to take the first step. Carefulness demands the full map before moving, and in waiting, it misses the journey entirely. Boldness redefines failure. To the bold, failure is not shame, it is progress. To the careful, failure is proof they should have never tried. Which definition you choose shapes whether your life is expanding or shrinking. Boldness invites adventure. It transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones because you are willing to take chances. Carefulness keeps days predictable, but also forgettable. Boldness ensures your life is anything but forgettable. Living boldly means being seen. You risk criticism, but you also gain recognition. You risk rejection, but you also find true connection. Carefulness keeps you invisible, but invisibility costs you your voice, your impact, your legacy. Boldness creates alignment between dreams and actions. Carefulness creates distance between them. The bold live lives where vision becomes reality. The careful live lives where vision stays in their heads, never touching the world. Boldness invites mistakes, but also mastery. Each attempt teaches you something new. Carefulness avoids mistakes, but also avoids growth. Boldness accepts mistakes as the tuition for excellence. Living boldly strengthens spirit. Each brave step builds self-respect. You look in the mirror and see someone who dares, someone who tries, someone who doesn't let fear win. Carefulness leaves the mirror empty, filled with excuses instead of courage. Boldness fuels creativity. When you take risks, you discover ideas, perspectives, and solutions you never would have found in safety. Carefulness kills creativity because it never lets you explore beyond the familiar. Living boldly is about expansion. Each risk expands your world, your knowledge, your capacity. Carefulness contracts your world, keeping you in a shrinking bubble of safety. Boldness expands life. Carefulness shrinks it. Boldness doesn't guarantee comfort, but it guarantees growth. Carefulness guarantees neither. You cannot grow by staying the same, and you cannot change by refusing to try. Growth and boldness are inseparable. The bold are remembered. History celebrates those who dared, the explorers, the creators, the visionaries. The careful fade quietly, leaving little behind. To live boldly is to live in a way that leaves a mark. Boldness requires daily practice. You don't become bold once. You choose boldness again and again. Each day you face the choice, live safely or live fully. Each day you decide whether you will shrink or expand. Boldness is not reckless, but intentional. It is calculated risk fueled by courage. Carefulness sees risk as danger. Boldness sees risk as opportunity. The difference is not in circumstance, but in mindset. Living boldly is ultimately about honoring life itself. Time is short, opportunities are fleeting, and fear will always exist. The question is whether you will bow to fear or rise with boldness. Boldness honors the gift of life by refusing to waste it. So choose boldness over carefulness. Choose risk over regret, courage over safety, growth over comfort. Life is not meant to be tiptoed through. It is meant to be embraced with both arms, both feet, and a fearless heart. To live boldly is to truly live. Boldness gives you the chance to write your own script. Too many people live carefully by following the scripts handed to them by society, family, or fear. But when you dare to be bold, you pick up the pen. You decide how the story unfolds. Living carefully keeps you in someone else's play. Living boldly makes you the author of your own life. Every bold act is a declaration of freedom. It tells the world that you will not be confined by expectation, tradition, or the limits others place on you. Boldness is rebellion in its purest form, not against people, but against the invisible walls fear builds around your potential. Living boldly means taking ownership of your choices. When you live carefully, you often blame circumstances or other people for your lack of progress. But when you live boldly, you own both your wins and your losses. That ownership gives you true power because no one else controls your path. Boldness makes you unforgettable. People remember those who dared, those who spoke their truth, those who moved differently when everyone else stayed the same. Carefulness might keep you polite, but boldness ensures you leave a mark, whether on a room, a career, or a generation. Careful living is obsessed with comfort. It chooses the predictable path, even if it leads nowhere. Bold living chooses growth, even when it is uncomfortable. And while comfort gives short-term ease, growth gives long-term joy. Which you choose determines whether you exist or evolve. Boldness teaches you to dance with risk. You may stumble, but every stumble is a step forward. Carefulness avoids the dance altogether, missing the rhythm of life. The bold understand that the music never lasts forever, so they step onto the floor while they still can. Living boldly means facing rejection without letting it define you. Rejection is proof you tried, proof you aimed higher than the safe choice. Each rejection refines you, pointing you toward the right doors. Carefulness never gets rejected, but it also never gets chosen. Boldness is how you honor your own voice. Too often, carefulness silences your truth out of fear of judgment. But when you speak boldly, even if your voice shakes, you honor yourself. And with time, that voice grows stronger until it becomes unshakable. Careful living trades passion for predictability. You may avoid chaos, but you also avoid fire, the fire that makes life exciting and meaningful. Boldness keeps the fire alive. It ignites your days with purpose, turning even struggles into fuel for growth. Living boldly is choosing possibility over guarantee. Carefulness seeks certainty, but in doing so, it closes doors. Boldness accepts risk, knowing that uncertainty holds both failure and greatness. Only those who risk the unknown discover how high they can truly climb. Boldness dismantles the illusion of safety. Playing careful feels like insurance against pain, but it is really insurance against growth. Life will hurt either way, but only boldness ensures that the pain is worth something, that it leads somewhere. Living boldly makes time meaningful. Instead of letting days blur into routine, boldness fills them with experiences, triumphs, lessons, adventures. Carefulness may stretch time, but boldness deepens it. You live not just longer, but fuller. Boldness forces you to trust yourself. When you take risks, you cannot rely solely on guarantees. You must believe in your own capacity to adapt. That trust, once built, becomes unshakable. Carefulness never teaches this. Boldness demands it. Living boldly transforms failure into fuel. Each bold attempt, even if it collapses, gives you data, resilience, and strength. Carefulness gives you nothing to work with, no lessons, no evidence, no progress. Boldness ensures even your mistakes move you forward. Boldness is authenticity in action. It is the refusal to wear masks or shrink to fit expectations. Carefulness bends to the crowd, but boldness stands in truth. even if it stands alone. Living boldly means living as you, without apology. Every bold act creates expansion. Your world grows larger, your skills grow sharper, your network grows wider. Carefulness shrinks your world until it is small enough to feel safe, but too small to contain your dreams. Boldness ensures your world keeps expanding. Boldness is the seed of innovation. Every breakthrough in history came from someone daring to go beyond the careful rules of their time. Those who lived carefully maintained the status quo. Those who lived boldly changed it. Carefulness whispers, "Don't embarrass yourself." Boldness replies, "Better to be embarrassed than invisible." The truth is, embarrassment fades, but invisibility lasts forever. Better to stand out and stumble than to hide and disappear. Boldness is generosity to the future. When you dare today, you give your future self a life rich with stories, lessons, and opportunities. Carefulness robs your future, leaving you with the poverty of regret. Boldness is a gift to tomorrow. Living boldly is alignment with mortality. It is the recognition that time is short, and therefore fear must not be allowed to rule. Carefulness lives as if time is endless, but boldness knows better. It acts now, because waiting is the greatest illusion of all. Boldness requires persistence. One bold act is not enough. You must choose courage again and again. Each day offers the choice between shrinking back or stepping forward. Over time, those choices define whether you lived carefully or boldly. Living boldly also means creating impact. Bold people do not just exist. They influence, inspire, and challenge others. Their courage becomes a mirror, reflecting possibilities in those who watch. Careful people leave comfort behind. Bold people leave legacies. Boldness creates clarity. When you act boldly, you discover what works and what doesn't. You refine your values, your priorities, and your direction. Carefulness never teaches clarity. It only maintains confusion by keeping you stuck in indecision. Living boldly does not mean ignoring fear. It means refusing to bow to it. Fear is natural, but boldness is the decision to move anyway. Each bold choice proves that fear does not have the final word. You do. Boldness makes you resilient to criticism. The more you act, the more people will have opinions. Carefulness hides to avoid them. But the bold know that opinions cannot harm you unless you let them. What matters is not their voice, it's yours. Living boldly means seeing risk as opportunity. Where others see danger, you see potential. This mindset shift transforms the unknown into adventure. Carefulness avoids the unknown, but boldness thrives in it. Boldness deepens fulfillment. You may not win every time, but you know you lived true. Fulfillment is not about always succeeding, it is about always daring. Carefulness avoids disappointment, but it also avoids joy. Boldness gives you both, and both make life rich. Boldness creates momentum. Each act of courage builds confidence, which fuels the next act. Soon, boldness is no longer rare. It is your natural state. Carefulness creates the opposite cycle. Hesitation, feeding hesitation, until life stands still. Living boldly sharpens creativity. Taking risks forces you to innovate, to think differently, to solve problems in new ways. Carefulness never pressures you to grow in this way. Creativity is the child of boldness, not safety. Boldness teaches gratitude. When you risk, fail, and succeed, you learn to value the journey more deeply. Every bold attempt becomes a memory, a lesson, a gift. Carefulness leaves nothing to be grateful for, because nothing was risked. Living boldly turns you into a participant instead of a spectator. Carefulness watches life happen. Boldness makes life happen. One leads to stories told by others. The other leads to stories told by you. Boldness builds character. Each risk forces you to confront your fears, your pride, your limits. In facing them, you grow into a stronger, truer version of yourself. Carefulness never stretches you. It leaves you as you are. Boldness gives life meaning. The struggles, the triumphs, the failures, they all weave together into a rich story. Carefulness leaves you with empty pages because nothing was ever risked, nothing was ever tried. Boldness turns ordinary people into leaders. Leaders are not those who played it safe. They are those who stepped forward first, took risks, and showed others it was possible. Leadership is boldness in service of others. Living boldly honors your calling. Each of us has dreams, gifts, and passions. To ignore them out of fear is to live carefully. To embrace them, even when uncertain, is to live boldly. Your calling deserves courage. Boldness ensures peace at the end of life. You may not have won every battle, but you will know you fought them. Carefulness ensures regret. You avoided battles entirely, and with them, the victories that could have been yours. So choose boldness, not once, but every day. In conversations, in decisions, in risks, in dreams, carefulness will tempt you with safety, but safety is the enemy of growth. Boldness is the path of the brave, the authentic, the alive. It is not the easiest path, but it is the only path worth living. Chapter 12. A life free from regret. Regret is the heaviest weight a person can carry. It is heavier than failure, heavier than rejection, heavier than pain. Failure teaches lessons, rejection builds resilience, pain eventually fades, but regret stays, whispering what if into your soul. To live free from regret, you must choose action over hesitation, courage over fear, and truth over comfort. A life free from regret begins with presence. Too many people postpone joy, waiting for the perfect moment to live fully. But perfection never comes. The bold truth is this: life is happening now, and if you don't embrace it today, you may never get another chance. Regret is born not from what you did, but from what you didn't do. Rarely does someone look back and wish they had played it safer. Most wish they had spoken up, taken risks, loved more openly, or dared to try. Regret grows in the soil of inaction. To live without regret, you must embrace imperfection. If you wait until you are flawless, you will never act. Action with mistakes will always lead to growth, while hesitation in search of perfection leads only to emptiness. Life rewards the imperfect doer, not the flawless dreamer. Living free of regret requires honesty. You must face what you truly want, not what others expect from you. Regret often comes from betraying your own desires to please others. A bold life listens to its inner voice and dares to follow it no matter how unconventional. Regret thrives on silence, the words unspoken, the love unexpressed, the forgiveness withheld. These are the ghosts that haunt later years. Living boldly means saying what needs to be said, even if your voice shakes. Words expressed may bring risk, but words buried bring regret. A life free from regret is built on choices aligned with values. When your daily actions reflect what you believe, you may fail, but you will never feel empty. Misalignment, however, creates the deepest wounds. Living by your truth ensures peace, even in loss. Regret is often the result of living carefully. You avoided risks, chose safety, and followed the crowd. But at the end of life, safety feels like a prison. The careful wonder, what if? While the bold say, at least I tried. That difference defines a life free of regret. Freedom from regret comes from presence in relationships. Spend time with those you love. Express gratitude often. Forgive quickly. Many regret broken connections more than missed achievements. Love given fully today ensures peace tomorrow. Regret fades when you pursue passion. Work that excites you, projects that challenge you, dreams that energize you. These leave no space for what if. A life driven by passion is a life rich with meaning, immune to the emptiness of regret. Living without regret means embracing risk. Safety may feel good in the short term, but it rarely creates fulfillment. Risk may bring failure, but it also brings triumph. The bold truth is that regret comes from never trying, not from failing. Regret vanishes when you commit to growth. Each year, each month, each day is a chance to become wiser, stronger, kinder. When you look back and see progress, regret has no place. Stagnation breeds regret. Growth eliminates it. A life free of regret demands courage in small choices. Big leaps matter, but so do the tiny daily acts of boldness. Waking early, writing the page, speaking the truth. Regret builds slowly in the absence of small action, but discipline in small acts builds freedom from it. Regret often comes from living passively, letting life happen instead of shaping it, watching instead of participating. To live free of regret, you must choose actively. Design your days, create your path, and claim your choices as your own. Peace at the end of life comes not from what you achieved, but from knowing you gave yourself fully to the journey. Even if you fell short, you lived true. Regret belongs to those who never stepped fully into their lives, who hid behind excuses. Regret teaches us the urgency of time. Days pass whether you act or not. The moments you waste will never return. But when you use time boldly, regret has no foothold. You may not control the length of life, but you can control its depth. A life free from regret is one where you fail often but rise always. You may collect scars, but each scar tells a story of courage. Regret collects nothing but silence, and silence is the heaviest burden of all. Living boldly doesn't mean never fearing regret. It means refusing to let regret be the author of your story. You write your story with each risk, each word spoken, each dream pursued. Regret writes nothing but blank pages. To live without regret, forgive often, yourself and others. Many regrets come not from what happened, but from holding grudges, from carrying anger too long. Forgiveness frees you, and freedom leaves no room for regret. Regret thrives when you value comfort over truth. You may feel safe, but safety becomes a cage. Truth is risky. It demands honesty and courage, but truth brings peace, and peace is the opposite of regret. A life free of regret requires alignment with purpose. When you give yourself to something meaningful, service, creation, love, you will not wonder if your life mattered. You will know. Purpose leaves no space for regret. Regret often comes from chasing approval instead of authenticity. The opinions you feared fade, but the dreams you abandoned remain. Living boldly means honoring your inner compass above the crowd's noise. Approval is temporary. Authenticity is eternal. Living without regret means treating life as fragile because it is. Each day is a gift, not a guarantee. When you live with this awareness, you don't delay love, kindness, or courage. You act now, because later may never come. Regret disappears when you value experiences over possessions. Things fade, break, and lose meaning. Experiences live forever in memory and shape who you become. Invest in moments, not just objects, and your life will be rich without regret. To live free from regret, embrace failure as a teacher. Regret comes from never daring. Failure comes from daring greatly. You can recover from failure. You cannot recover from a life unlived. Regret vanishes when you practice gratitude daily. When you see the beauty in ordinary days, the lessons in hardship, and the gifts in challenges, you live fully present. Gratitude turns even struggles into memories without regret. Living boldly and living without regret are twins. One cannot exist without the other. Boldness ensures you try. Trying ensures you avoid regret. Fear whispers, "Stay safe." Boldness replies, "Stay alive." Regret often stems from ignoring intuition. Your inner voice knows when it is time to move, speak, or change. When you silence it, regret follows. When you honor it, you live true, and truth never leaves regret behind. A life free from regret comes from contribution. What you give to others, love, wisdom, kindness, outlasts you. When you pour into others, your life has meaning beyond yourself. That legacy erases regret. Regret shrinks when you practice presence. Too many people live in the future, waiting for happiness later. But later often doesn't arrive. Living in the moment ensures you don't lose today while waiting for tomorrow. Regret is loud at the end of life, but it is built in silence along the way. Each day you hide, hesitate, or delay, regret grows quietly. But each day you act boldly, regret weakens. You defeat regret one choice at a time. Living free from regret means choosing passion over fear. Fear will always exist, but passion fuels courage. When your love for a dream is stronger than your fear of failure, regret has no power. Regret teaches that the greatest loss is not failure, but unlived potential. The talents unused, the songs unsung, the dreams unpursued, these create the deepest wounds. A bold life uses its gifts fully, ensuring nothing is left behind. To live without regret, you must be willing to stand alone. Many regrets are born from following the crowd. The bold, however, accept solitude if it means staying true. Solitude passes, but regret lingers forever. Regret fades when you measure success by growth, not by comparison. Comparing to others steals joy and creates emptiness. Growth, however small, ensures you live boldly on your terms. That is a life without regret. The final freedom from regret is acceptance. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your effort. When you live fully, love deeply, and act boldly, you can look back with peace, even if everything wasn't perfect. Peace is the absence of regret. So live boldly, speak truth, take risks, love without holding back, forgive quickly, act today, not tomorrow. Regret has no place in a life lived fully. When your final day comes, may you smile, not because everything was easy, but because nothing was left undone. Living free from regret means embracing the unknown with open arms. Too often we let fear of uncertainty freeze us into inaction. But life is uncertain whether we act or not. The bold recognize this truth and decide that if uncertainty is inevitable, it might as well be filled with daring choices instead of hesitant ones. A regret-free life is one where you let go of the need for approval. People will always have opinions, some supportive, some critical, some dismissive. But if you spend your life chasing their validation, you will end up losing yourself. Regret grows when you live for others. Peace grows when you live for truth. Freedom from regret requires courage to walk away. Not every path, relationship, or habit is meant to stay. Many live carefully, clinging to the familiar even when it suffocates them. But the bold let go of what no longer serves them, making space for something greater to come. Regret often hides in the quiet corners of someday. Someday I'll travel, someday I'll start, someday I'll heal. But someday never arrives unless you act today. The only way to silence regret is to strip someday from your vocabulary and replace it with now. Living without regret is about aligning with purpose, not perfection. You don't need to have every detail figured out. You don't need flawless execution. You only need a clear sense of why you're moving and the discipline to keep moving. Purpose makes imperfection meaningful. A life free from regret is one where you leave nothing unsaid. Express gratitude while people are here. Say, "I love you," often, even if it feels vulnerable. Speak your truth because silence builds walls, but words build bridges. The regret of unspoken truth is heavier than the risk of rejection. Regret teaches us that time is not guaranteed. You think you'll have another chance, another day, another conversation, but sometimes you don't. That awareness is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. To live without regret is to live as if today matters, because it does. Bold living doesn't mean recklessness. It means intentional risk. Recklessness chases thrill without thought, but boldness chases meaning with awareness. A regret-free life isn't about careless leaps. It's about courageous ones. Leaps taken with purpose, even if they fail, never leave regret. Regret often comes from ignoring the small moments. We chase big goals while missing daily beauty, the laughter at dinner, the warmth of sunlight, the peace of a walk. To live without regret is to cherish small things, because one day you'll realize they were the big things all along. A regret-free life requires forgiveness of the past. You cannot change what has already happened, but you can choose what it means. If you hold on to anger at yourself or others, regret grows. If you choose forgiveness, regret dissolves. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is freedom. Living without regret means embracing vulnerability. Regret is often born from pretending to be stronger, tougher, or more perfect than you really are. But vulnerability connects us. It lets us love fully, live honestly, and leave no part of ourselves hidden. A life of truth has no space for regret. A regret-free life is also a generous life. What you give to others multiplies. Kindness, mentorship, time, encouragement, these gifts ripple far beyond you. When you live generously, regret fades because you know your life contributed to something greater. Regret thrives when you measure life by others' standards. You compare your timeline, your achievements, your success to theirs, and feel empty. But bold living means measuring life only by your own progress. Regret cannot survive when your race is yours alone. Living boldly ensures your story is one worth telling. Careful people tell safe stories. Bold people tell stories filled with adventure, risk, loss, and triumph. A regret-free life is not about comfort. It is about having lived a story that mattered, both to you and to those who hear it. Regret often comes from neglecting health, of body, mind, and spirit. Many only realize its value when it's gone. To live without regret, care for your vessel daily. Eat well, rest deeply, move often, think clearly, and love fully. Health is the foundation of regret-free living. A life without regret requires you to trust timing. You may not achieve everything at once, but patience is not the same as waiting. Patience is moving steadily, knowing growth takes time. Waiting is delaying out of fear. The first leads to peace. The second leads to regret. Regret disappears when you choose courage in relationships. Say yes to love, even if it might end. Open your heart, even if it might hurt. The bold know that heartbreak is temporary, but regret of never trying lasts forever. To love fully is to live without regret. Living regret-free means treating failure as fuel. Each attempt teaches. Each stumble strengthens. Regret comes not from falling, but from refusing to stand again. Those who rise after falling carry peace. Those who stay down carry regret. Regret shrinks when you embrace gratitude for the journey. Too many people wait to be happy only at the finish line. But happiness is in the steps, not just the destination. Celebrate progress, honor struggle, and joy will replace regret at every stage. To live free of regret, chase curiosity, try new things, explore new places, learn without shame. A careful life avoids mistakes but misses discovery. A bold life risks looking foolish but gains the richness of exploration. Curiosity keeps regret away by filling life with wonder. Living without regret demands decisiveness. Indecision is where regret grows. It steals time and wastes energy. Even a wrong decision teaches more than hesitation. Bold choices bring clarity. Careful waiting brings regret. Decide, act, learn, adjust. That is the path to peace. A regret-free life embraces change. The world will shift, and so will you. Clinging tightly to the past creates regret. Adapting boldly ensures growth. Transformation may hurt, but stagnation hurts more. Change embraced leads to freedom. Change resisted leads to regret. Regret often comes from not listening to yourself, to others, to life. Boldness listens deeply. It honors intuition, values wisdom, and responds to reality instead of ignoring it. Listening creates alignment, and alignment leaves no room for regret. To live free of regret, embrace simplicity. Many complicate life chasing status, possessions, and approval, but simplicity, focusing on what truly matters, creates peace. Simplicity clears space for joy, and joy is the antidote to regret. A life without regret requires persistence. Not every day will be victorious, but showing up consistently creates pride. Regret grows in those who quit too soon, but persistence builds peace, even in the face of failure. Living regret-free means valuing time as the most precious currency. You cannot earn it back, and you cannot store it. Each day spent with intention ensures that when time runs out, regret won't stand at your bedside. Regret often comes from neglecting joy. Work matters, discipline matters, but so does play. The bold remember to laugh, to celebrate, to rest. A life without joy is a life of regret. Balance creates peace. Living without regret means embracing uniqueness. No one else can live your story. When you copy others, you bury your individuality and regret it later. When you live boldly as yourself, no matter how imperfect, regret cannot touch you. A regret-free life values contribution over comparison. When you give, you stop worrying about who has more. You realize your worth lies not in competing, but in serving. Service creates fulfillment, and fulfillment pushes regret away. To live without regret, confront fear often. Each fear you face weakens its grip. Each fear you avoid strengthens it. By stepping into fear, you expand life. By avoiding it, you shrink. Expansion leads to freedom. Avoidance leads to regret. Living regret-free requires discipline. Dreams without action lead to regret. Discipline ensures you translate intention into reality day after day. Regret comes from neglect, but discipline creates peace. Regret often comes from not starting. The book unwritten, the business unbuilt, the dream untouched. These haunt more than failure ever could. A life without regret is one where you begin, even imperfectly. Bold living is remembering that regret does not wait until old age. It whispers in every missed chance. You feel it after days wasted, words unspoken, and chances ignored. But you also feel peace after days lived boldly. Each day gives you the choice, regret or freedom. Living without regret means daring greatly in all areas: work, love, dreams, and faith. You will not succeed every time, but you will live fully. And at the end, fullness matters more than perfection. A regret-free life is not about having everything go right. It's about making sure nothing important was left undone. You may stumble, you may fail, but you will not wonder what if. That freedom is priceless. So let regret be a teacher, not a destiny. Let it remind you of what you don't want, and let it push you into boldness, honesty, and presence. A life free from regret is not easy, but it is possible. It is built choice by choice, day by day, step by step. And it is the only life worth living. At the start of this journey, you may have thought this was just about productivity or about squeezing more into your days. But now you understand the deeper truth. The real enemy isn't failure, it's regret. The years slip by while we wait to feel ready, while we wait for the perfect timing, while we let fear disguise itself as caution. But regret doesn't come from trying and falling short. Regret comes from never trying at all. Every action you take, no matter how small, is a step toward freedom, growth, and a life you'll be proud of when you look back. So ask yourself, will you keep postponing your dreams until regret becomes your companion? Or will you act now, even imperfectly, and build a life that leaves no space for what if? If this message spoke to you, don't let it stop here. Comment below with one action you'll take today, no matter how small, to move closer to the life you want. And if you want more powerful wisdom like this, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next audiobook that can change your perspective forever. Remember, your future isn't built someday. It's built today. Act now and regret nothing.